Hello everybody and welcome to the channel where I try to help grow the light novel community as well as help existing fans of light novels find new books to love. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the new and notable light novels releasing officially in English for the month of October 2019. I'll just be hitting the highlights. If you want the complete list of releases, I do have that in the description down below, as well as links to Amazon, the Book Depository, or even iBooks if you want to pick up any of these books for yourself. So hey, if you love light novels, make sure that you hit subscribe to this channel so that you can keep up with all of my future reviews and videos just like this one. So in October, we actually have a couple of series coming to an end, as well as some brand new series and a couple of series that are appearing in print for the very first time. So let's get right to it. On October 1st, this one from Yen On, it is the final volume, and that's volume number 13 of Durarara. This series, the sort of urban fantasy type series, pitting numerous gang elements and involving headless motorcycle riders and a variety of other supernatural elements. Pretty cool series actually, all in all. I've read about the first half of the series so far, one that I definitely would like to get caught up on. Now the interesting thing about this is that this is not actually entirely the end of Durarara. As far as I understand it, so this is the end of sort of the Dollars, which is the main sort of group, the gang. Yeah, it's not exactly a gang, but anyway, it's the main group. Most of the characters we followed in the series are involved with this group. This is kind of the end of the Dollars storyline. There is, however, a sequel series to Durarara, and that's not been licensed as of this point, which I would think that if Yen On was going to license the series, we would have heard something about it by now, seeing as how this is over. The only thing I can think of is either A, they're not licensing the sequel series because this one did not do as well as what everybody hoped, or B, they're just kind of allowing there to be a gap in their release schedule to get caught up or end a couple series before they start bringing out sequels. That's just what I think. I don't know if it's true. I would be interested to know though. I don't know if anybody from Yen On even watches these videos, but hey, if you do and you're allowed to say, any idea on what's going on with the sequel to Durarara? On October 5th, this one from J Novel Club, and it's a brand new series. That's volume number 1 of Sexiled. Tanya Artemichov is a talented mage-class adventurer who just got kicked out of her party by a sexist scumbag. So what's a girl to do? Go to the wasteland and blow stuff up, of course. One small problem, though. She inadvertently frees a mythical sorceress named Laplace, who was sealed away for the past 300 years. Surprise! Turns out this so-called wicked sorceress is actually pretty cool. Laplace wants to start a party of her own. Tanya wants revenge, and the solution is obvious. Team up. It's time to kick ass, kiss girls, and dismantle the patriarchy. So a little bit of Yuri, a little bit of explosions and violence and mayhem, and yeah, this one's gotten a lot of like really positive word of mouth that I have seen. Now, I know that again, in our environment, I know some people were kind of put off by this because they were like, oh, it's just SJW, uber feminism stuff. But the actual reality of this series is that it was written as a direct response to something that really happened in Japan, which was they discovered that hospitals were basically, I can't remember if it was a hospital or the medical board in general. I should have looked it up before I started talking. In any case, basically what they found out is that women were having their exam scores basically knocked down before they were even marked. They basically discovered that this whole system was being rigged in favor of men. And this is like a legit thing that just happened in like the past year or 2 years or so. So this is not just some thing in a bubble or, happened a long time ago. So I guess the author of this series basically wrote her book in response to her feelings about this revelation that women had been basically held back from the careers that they wanted for really sexist reasons. I mean, it kind of came out that they were talking like, oh, well, we didn't want women to become doctors because they're not dependable, because they may decide to have children and leave for a while and all this other stuff. So this isn't just some kind of like, grrr, feminism thing. This is actually an author kind of saying, look at how ridiculous this is, and, you know, that we can live in this modern era and still, you know, have women be oppressed and, you know, really blatant sexism against them. So I'm kind of interested in checking this one out. More so, I think, now because I'm recording this like a couple days into October, obviously, because a number of people have been reading this on J-Novel Club while they've been releasing the chapters over time. And like I said, quite a number of people that I follow and I respect their opinions have thought this one was really good. So definitely one that I want to be checking out. On October 8th, we have a brand new series, this one coming from Yen On, and that is The Alchemist Who Survived Now Dreams of a Quiet City Life. And this is, of course, volume number 1 of that one. A girl out of time, a fish out of water. Alchemists used to be a dime a dozen in the kingdom of Andalzia, so Mariella was never particularly special. But her skills were put to the test one fateful day when a horde of monsters came stampeding from the nearby forest. In a desperate attempt to escape the horror, the young alchemist put herself in a state of suspended animation that lasted just a little longer than she'd planned, an entire 200 years. Needless to say, there have been some big changes, and biggest of all, Mariella is now the sole alchemist in the entire kingdom. Her one wish in this strange new environment is to get back her quiet, leisurely, low-key lifestyle. And I'm laying odds that she fails epically, because that's what always happens to light novel characters that are trying to have some quiet, laid-back life. Like, you know, I've been killing slimes for 300 years and maxed out my level. Yeah, that life got real quiet for her. That worked out just great. So I imagine this one is going to be pretty much along the same lines. Although, again, it's a pure fantasy. It's not an isekai or anything like that. I'm also kind of curious to see just how they're using alchemist. You know, alchemy, of course, there is the definition of alchemist, and then there's the sort of way that alchemist has been adapted, evolved, perverted, whatever. I'm kind of curious to see how they use the whole alchemy aspect in this book. On October 13th, this one from J-Novel Club, and it's a final volume, and that is volume number 13 of Demon King Daimaou. This one, the series about a boy who goes off to a magical school, academy, thinking that he's going to learn abilities and skills that are going to make the world a better place. And then when he goes through the whole testing process, they basically are like, you're going to be a demon king and become the enemy of humanity. Sorry about your luck. So this series now, of course, comes to an end. I only read the first volume, but I have to admit, I have heard so many stories about particularly this last volume that I still am kind of curious about it, because supposedly this last volume in particular, but I think maybe the last 2 or 3 volumes, people were saying like, there's all these rumors that the author basically cracked while he was writing it, because the series just seems to all of a sudden veer off to a completely different spot. I'd love to hear your thoughts if you're familiar with this. I'd really love to hear your thoughts if you've actually read this. Try to keep it spoiler-free, just for the benefit of those that are reading the comments, and for my benefit too, just in case I ever decide to pick this up. I'm just kind of, your feel about it, like, how did you feel? Did you feel like this all made sense and it had like a logical progression to it? Or did it really feel like all of a sudden this one just went the totally opposite direction than what you thought? On October 14th, we've got a brand new series, this one from J-Novel Club. So it's volume number 1 of There Was No Secret Evil Fighting Organization. Seriously? So I made one myself. Kinemitsu Sago suddenly finds himself able to wield telekinesis out of the blue one fateful day. However, unlike in works of fantasy, no beautiful girl barges into his life, no secret organization knocks on his door, and in fact, absolutely nothing out of the ordinary happens at all. Eventually, forced to come face to face with the reality that his life would remain unremarkable, he snaps and decides to make the extraordinary happen with his own hands. Follow along as he creates it all, a secret organization filled with espers, forces of darkness that threaten the world, protagonists, heroines, rivals, action, romance, and so much more. If you had almighty telekinesis, what would you do? So this one I'm really looking forward to, actually. I mean, it sounds obviously like comedy, especially when they've got, like, in the brackets, seriously? There's no seriously? I'm assuming it's a comedy. But I do kind of like this whole idea that what would it be like to suddenly be the only superhero? What would you do? You know, what would you do? What kind of a letdown would it be to finally be like, I've got all this power and I have absolutely no reason to use it? I'm curious to see what direction this one goes, whether it's purely comedic, whether it's like one of those sort of constant pratfall type things, whether it's he doesn't really understand that there is actually all this stuff in the world and he just kind of is stumbling on it, or if he becomes an anti-hero. I have so many questions about this series, and so I definitely want to check this one out. On October 24th, we get a brand new light novel from Seven Seas. This is the ebook advanced release. The print release doesn't come out for another couple months. And that is SCP Foundation, Iris Through the Looking Glass. What's wrong with this picture? An ordinary boy encounters the paranormal when a photo of the same girl starts inexplicably showing up in every book he opens. One day, the girl reaches out and pulls him into the photo to her location, a cell in a top-secret facility belonging to the SCP Foundation, an organization dedicated to the research and containment of people, objects, and phenomena that defy reality. Even worse, they've deemed him a threat to be contained, and he's going to have to work with them if he ever wants to see the outside world again. So this is actually really interesting. So SCP is kind of like a group project. It's funny because if you look at the listing for this book on Amazon, they have actually listed the Commons license that, yeah, we're using this because it's like common creative license, blah, blah, blah. Because basically, as far as I understand it, a collection of people created sort of the world, that they created the Foundation, they created sort of like the monsters and all that kind of stuff. And then they've let people be free to create whatever they want with it, whether it be novels, whether it be board games, it doesn't matter, whatever it is, people are allowed to create their own stories in this world. And so this is actually a Japanese light novel that was written from that world. So I'm curious to check this one out and see what it's like, although admittedly I will probably wait until it comes out in print. On October 29th, this one is one that's already been out in ebook format, but we're now getting it in print, and that is volume number 1 of Neon Genesis Evangelion, ANIMA, a light novel series exploring an alternate ending to one of the most influential anime series of all time. What if reluctant hero Ikari Shinji had saved the world? Now, at 17 years old, he is the de facto leader of the Eva team. Under the leadership of Commander Katsuragi Misato, the Evangelion suits have been updated with advanced designs and powers in preparation for the possible return of the monstrous angels. 4 copies of Ayanami Rei have been tasked with operating a global anti-angel search and destroy program. But when one of these clones goes rogue, it's up to Shinji to stop her. So, a very odd. I remember Sean Gaffney was reading this one, he's like, so that was a thing. It doesn't sound very Evangelion. And even when I was looking at the some of the images, the color images and stuff from this series, I I was kind of like, whoa, whoa, it's weird, whoa. I was really excited to read this one because I've always been a big fan of Evangelion back from like when it first came out back in the 90s. Probably one of the more influential anime series in terms of, well, things that I like and even my own writing and stuff like that. So Evangelion's had a big influence on me, and I was excited to read this one, but then like when I read this description and I see what other people are saying about it online, I'm kind of like, doesn't sound much like Evangelion. I'll still probably check it out just because I'm kind of a crazy completist like that. I'd be curious if you've read this one. What are your thoughts? Like, I mean, is it really only good for Evangelion fans? Is it even good for Evangelion fans? I'm kind of curious on your thoughts. Again, try to keep it spoiler free. Finally, for the new and notable in October, so on October 29th, we've got a brand new series coming out from Yen On. That's volume number 1 of The World's Strongest Rearguard, Labyrinth Country's Novice Seeker. After living life as a corporate lapdog, Arihito is reborn in a fantasy world. Strangely, the class he's assigned is the very ambiguously titled Rearguard. It seems weird, but Arihito soon figures out that though it isn't flashy, he's gained the ability to do just about everything in battle, from assisting attacking and defending to healing. As he begins his new life, he quickly gathers curious companions. His old supervisor, who's younger than he is, a mysterious demi-human mercenary girl, and a gorgeous high-level swordswoman. With this bevy of interesting ladies in his party, his journey as the greatest supporter that's ever lived. So, it's a harem isekai. I don't know what else to say. Curious though, like, you know, I am doing my best to try and at least get caught up and read at least one volume from the newer series and see what they're all about. Anybody check this one out at all? At all, even a little bit? What are your thoughts? Again, keep it spoiler free because I am definitely going to pick this one up at one point to check it out and see just how generic or not generic it turns out to be. Yeah, I'm just kind of curious because, you know, again, it's trying to play with that whole idea of not having the main character be the hero, even though, let's face it, he's the hero. In any case, yeah, let me know. What are your thoughts in the comments down below? In this video, I want to say a special thanks to Vixlab.com, Megas, Ricardo Matos, Philip Vosseberg, and Jean-Luc Chartier for their support on Patreon, as well as the support of all of my patrons for helping to keep this channel going, as well as for helping to host the Light Novel Podcast so it gets posted on as many platforms as possible. So that's just what's new and notable in the month of October of 2019. There are a whack ton of ongoing series that are getting released this month, and man, November and December are probably going to be even crazier. So I hope you'll join me for those videos to see what's new and interesting in light novel releases. And don't forget, I'm also trying to get myself caught up and get a bunch of review videos posted in the coming weeks. So I hope you'll join me for those ones as well. In the meantime, thanks for joining me in this video. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Till then, bye-bye for now.